This video contains details of a death that some might find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. At about 8:30 a.m. on the 8th of April 1978, a homeless man was scavenging for scrap in a landfill in the 600 block of Terminal Avenue in Wilmington, Newcastle County, Delaware. As he was searching through a swampy area of the landfill, he stumbled across one of the most disturbing discoveries you could imagine. The man caught sight of a heap of bones, laying on top of a black rubber car mat and a pink throw rug. Recognizing that these remains potentially belonged to a human, the man promptly alerted the police to his discovery. On scene, police were able to recover a partial set of skeletal human remains. The skull, chest, and hip bones were found together, while the leg bones were located about 11 feet away. At examination, an exact post-mortem interval was difficult to determine. The individual may have been deceased for up to 7 years before being found, with the minimum time frame between death and discovery being 3 months. The cause of death was not readily apparent, but there were no obvious signs of violence, such as recently broken bones or bullet wounds. Though the coroner believed the cause of death was probably natural, homicide and other causes could not fully be ruled out. As recently as 2024, police stated they were yet to establish the cause of death. Police have repeatedly referred to this as a, quote, victim, which to me implies they may have reason to believe the cause of death wasn't, in fact, natural. The deceased individual was ultimately determined to have been a black male. He was most likely between 17 and 25 years old, with one source widening that age range to potentially as old as 30. At 5 feet 4 inches tall, he weighed around 140 pounds, with a medium build. He had black hair of unknown style and length. Most notably, he was found to have a, quote, severe pelvic deformity, which would have caused him to walk with a pronounced limp on his right side. An anthropologist found evidence of wear on his elbows, consistent with the long-term use of a cane or crutches, suggesting he was unable to walk unaided due to his hip deformity. Also, on his right side, he had several healed fractures, indicating he'd sustained previous injuries to the area. He had spina bifida, a congenital spine defect, but since this was minor, he might not have known. All his teeth were present, and there was no evidence of any dental work, and no indication of tobacco use. The victim was fully clothed in a bleached blue button-up shirt with long sleeves rolled up to the elbows, labelled as Kent Collection by Arrow, along with a pair of light blue size 32 Levi's pants, labelled with Made in Hong Kong, and a pair of printed jersey undershorts. With no personal effects found on or near the body, police had to turn to local missing person reports in their initial attempts to identify the body. And pretty quickly, a seemingly suitable match appeared. John Ashley Jr., known by his nickname Jay, was an 18-year-old boy who went missing from Wilmington, Delaware on the 14th of December 1971. He was last seen walking in the direction of his home after his high school basketball practice. On paper, most everything lined up. Jay was an African-American male with the same height, build, and hair colour as the decedent, and he went missing just 3 miles from where the victim was found. Most strikingly, though, Jay had a congenital defect to his right hip. Because of this, investigators were all but certain the body they'd found was Jay's. The decedent's DNA was thus compared with that of 3 of Jay's siblings and Jay's mother. Every single one of those tests brought back the same results. The deceased man with the hip defect was not biologically related to any of them, proving, to everyone's surprise, that he wasn't Jay. And just like that, investigators were back at square one. More than 40 years have passed since then, and investigators have yet to identify the man whose remains were found in the landfill. As of March 2025, Jay Ashley remains a missing person, with no significant leads in his case since the discovery of the body they thought for sure was his, way back in 1978. Due to the location of the remains being close to a port and railway tracks, it was speculated that the decedent may have been a stowaway on a train or boat. With no signs of violence on the body, it was considered that he might have been homeless and succumbed to hypothermia, though decomposition made this impossible to either prove or disprove. An alternative theory put forth by online sleuths is that the man, since he was physically disabled and probably required mobility aids to be able to walk, might have been killed by his carer, who then purposefully dumped the body in a landfill. Again, though, there were no obvious signs of violence present in the bones, so nothing can be said for certain. In 1995, police had a facial reconstruction created to represent how the victim may have appeared in life. Photographs of this reconstruction, a clay bust, were circulated in local newspapers, though no one came forward to say they recognized the victim. A facial approximation sketch was later created by Michael McNicholas, a local forensic artist in Wilmington, but again this didn't generate any substantial leads. Further updates in this case wouldn't come until 2024, when it was revealed the victim's DNA was undergoing testing by Moxie Forensics. Genetic genealogical research began in April 2024, and so far, it's found that the victim has African American ancestral ties to Georgetown County in South Carolina, as well as the much broader area of the entire state of Delaware. Moxie Forensics has appealed to anyone with similar ancestral ties to consider uploading a DNA test to GEDmatch, Family Tree DNA, and DNA Justice, and opting in to share their data with law enforcement for the purpose of identifying this John Doe. According to Moxie Forensics, the following surnames are prominent in the victim's family tree: Harris, Ray, Rogers, and Jukes. They think one of these surnames might in fact be the decedent's. Anyone with these surnames in their family tree is urged to get in contact. If you believe you could be related to the victim, please contact Casey Connolly at Moxie Forensics by emailing casey@moxieforensics.com. And as of March 2025, that is, I'm afraid, all I can share. Hopefully I can bring you the news of an identification sooner rather than later. I'm sure that with the hard work of Moxie Forensics and their team, his identity will be uncovered. Genetic genealogists are truly a blessing. To conclude, anyone with any information regarding Newcastle County John Doe and or the circumstances surrounding his death is urged to contact the Wilmington Police Department's Cold Case Unit by calling Investigator Stephen Rizzo at 302-576-3937 or Detective Devon Jones at 302-576-3631. Thank you all very much for giving Newcastle County John Doe a moment of your day.